I got a Daisy feeling. I got a Daisy feeling. Yeah.
Hi guys, so it's so lovely to have you here on the channel. I'll just introduce myself real quick. I'm ACHARA, this is Andrew, and obviously for the audience, I mean, you guys know who's who. We've got Anil Kapoor, we've got Sandeep Modi, and we have Aditya Roy Kapur in the house. So excited to have you here. We just watched The Night Manager, the first part, and have absolutely been enjoying it. Actually, my first question is for you, Sandeep. I did a little bit of research when we were going to watch your version of the show. I did go ahead and watch the first episode of the BBC version just to see kind of what I was getting into. And I was really surprised because there were a lot of things that I felt were similar, but there were some significant changes as well. What inspired you to make the changes that you did, and what were the challenges of adapting a show like this for an Indian audience?
For me, it was an adaptation, and an adaptation works best when it's done with the most correct cultural nuance being brought in. Otherwise, as you rightly pointed out, might as well watch the British version. It's a great show and a great story. But the thing is, when you make it for India, or you make it for, I would say, for myself more than India, I would like to see things in a certain way. Take the larger plot and see how do we get an Indian beating heart to it. The intent was not to say, oh, this is how we can do things differently. The idea was, how do we tell this story with a new set of eyes and, as I would say, a new set of heart. So that was the intent, and all the changes have come through with that lens. The second lens that we added was, I would say, the relevance, the times that we are in, and it's a story which unfortunately is still relevant because it's about a warmonger. It felt like, how would you see the same story written in 1992, adapted in 2015? How would you do it now for 2023? So that's largely how we saw it.
And I have a question for Anil. What is the method you use to get into the mindset of a character like Shelley?
Yeah, this was a tricky thing for me because, there are times that you have, references which are available in personal, you met people, you've come across them, or you heard about them. But playing, arms dealer, I've never met any arms dealer in my life. And of course, I don't recollect any, to certain extent, Indian arms dealer also. The only person I was aware and I read about was Khashoggi, Adnan Khashoggi, who was supposedly a arms dealer, right? Nicolas Cage has played an arms dealer in one of the films, and so one or two films. So there was not much of references, but the biggest advantage for me to get into the mindset of being very, very honest was of course the book, and then the show, which was The Night Manager, which of course I saw. Definitely the most important thing was what was written on the paper by Sandeep and Sridharan Raghavan. The first narration when I had was quite an intense one, and I could see the show and I forgot the original when I was listening to it. I just was immersed in their storytelling, and that really helped me to get into the mindset. And then I have my own process of getting into the mindset, which will be, I think, a separate interview I have to give you to, really to tell you what I do and what's my process, yeah.
So building off of that, obviously, you have the source material being the book and then the BBC show. Anil and Aditya, did you feel any pressure taking on these roles that were originated by such great actors like Hugh, Laurie and Tom Hiddleston? Did you watch their performances at all, and did this affect your performances in any way?
Yeah, well, I think the job has inherent pressure as it is. Anytime you get on set in front of 200 people and have to do stuff on cue, like you said, look at a tennis ball and cry. So I think the job is tough as it is. I think there are enough pressures. I think it's wise to try and declutter and kind of find ways to depressurize the situation. While I think the original performances were amazing and inspiring and beautiful blueprints to kind of work off, taking too much of that pressure on oneself isn't healthy beyond a point. So while the blueprint was there and was kind of really valuable, we also had a new script with new sets of motivations and things to kind of, decode, which was good because you could approach it in your own way as well.
Yeah, no, I definitely felt that you guys gave your stamp to the role. It felt different. So I feel like you did succeed there.
I remember something beautiful that Tom Hiddleston said after watching the pilot episode and the second episode. And I remember the conversation with Aditya, and when he said that the choice of what to change and what to retain was beautiful. And coming from somebody who's done this and was watching it with that set of eyes, and to find that balance where it felt like, yeah, this is great what you've changed, and that little he felt so touched with the few things that we had retained and Aditya had retained.
Right.
I think it was a personal moment with him too, so I don't want to divulge too much, but yes, I think it's a fine line, and I would say yes, you, Laurie and Tom are excellent actors, but I'm blessed with absolutely stunning actors.
And then Aditya, kind of piggybacking a little bit of what I asked Anil, what have been some physical and mental challenges to playing a complex character like Sean?
I think the physical challenges were pretty much like not because we shot in some great hotels. The night manager works at hotels. So the physical challenge was shutting my mouth, and not eating food, like all that great food. So that was pretty much the physical challenge. We did shoot in the desert and in some really unforgiving locations, but after a couple of years of COVID, anything outside my room felt like a win. So I wouldn't call any of that too much of a challenge. Mentally, I think yes, it was a bit of a tricky one, because this guy has so much going on in his head that you don't know what to reveal and what to keep close to the chest, what to reveal to the audience and what not to reveal to the audience. So it was a bit of a tightrope walk, which I think Sandeep and me had to figure out, which is how much to allow the audience in and how much to not.
Yeah.
So it was a very tricky one, because he's playing the people around him, but you don't want the audience to keep feeling that either, because then it's not that much fun for them. They need to kind of get lost for a while and believe what they're seeing as well.
Yeah, I mean, you guys definitely struck the balance there, because while we were watching it, we'd be like, wait, who does he know? Who? Wait, what's going on? We were losing our minds as we were watching it, trying to decode it and figure it out. And so I think you guys really did strike that balance where you're like giving enough that the audience is able to kind of make guesses, but not too much that you've ruined everything.
Also, it was a lot of fun to build the part when Shelley enters, since we're talking of the pilot and everything. And
oh my God.
I really enjoyed it, and I remember watching it myself and feeling the joy and the exhalation when he walks in.
Yeah.
And for me, it was a perfect sweet spot where the persona meets the character, meets the audience, kind of sweet spot. And somewhere I felt very proud personally, AK, that I could tap into that in that moment when you walked into the show.
That hero/villain entry.
He's so beautiful in terms of the power he wields, but you hate him in equal parts for what he's done.
It was one of the many things I was praising in Anil's performance in the first 4 episodes. I was like, I should be hating this character, and obviously, in terms of an arms dealer, there's so many things about him I don't like. The way he just expresses his character and the way it's like he's drawing me in. This is my favorite type of villain that I'm watching on screen. So I just thought it was just such a perfect blend of your writing and Anil's performance, where I'm like, oh, I want to hate this guy so much for what he's doing, but I'm just so drawn. Like, this is my favorite type of villain to watch.
But in second part, I'm sure I will make it a little more easier for you all to hate me.
Can't wait.
Hopefully.
I have a little bit of a random question for you guys, and I don't know if you'll be able to answer this, but obviously night managers or concierges at hotels often get interesting requests from their VIP guests. Now, Anil and Aditya, being celebrities yourself, what's the weirdest thing you've asked a night manager or concierge to help you with while staying at a hotel, if you're allowed to divulge?
Calling for ice, but that's not that weird. Depends what you use it for, obviously, but I think ice.
You're so tame.
But you don't call up the night manager, just call up the housekeeper. Night manager you call when things are, when the housekeeping is not replying. And they're not, the housekeeping or the reception is, then that's the last option where you call the night manager, whoever's the manager, day or night, and then you take up with him, and that's what it is.
I'm sure there are more reasons why you call the night manager.
Yeah.
Adi I'm sure Adi, you'll remember it more, and Anil sir is probably when a guest is not allowed in the hotel and you want to just call them for it.
Yeah, those things. But yeah.
Send the guest along with the ice.
Bring them over.
Sandeep, I'm just curious, what drove you to pivot from a coming-of-age story like The Lottery to a thriller like this show?
Actually, I'm making the same thing again and again. Genuinely, I think I'm just trying to find a character and trying to find how do I open its layers and explore its journey, whether it was Bhal Chandra Shivale in The Lottery, or it was Arya Sareen in Arya, or it is, both my leading men here. I think the idea is to explore a character's journey through a story and see how does the story change them. So I think somebody pointed us out recently that you're actually making the same thing again and again. I said, okay, great, as long as it's working. Two more stories like these.
Anil, obviously this isn't your first time working on an Indian adaptation of a Western show, seeing as you've done 24 in the past. Is there anything that you took from your experience on 24 to help with working on The Night Manager at all?
Yep. I think Sandeep will tell you exactly. The first time when I met him and the do's and don'ts, the mistakes I'd done when I was doing 24 and what went right. I said, these are the things I said, let me spell it out to you all so that you all don't do the same mistake. Because Sandeep had done Arya, but of course I had done 2 seasons of 24 episodes and I'd worked internationally also. So I had the experience, not only the academic, but the being there, the physical experience of going through almost 500 days of shooting. So that's, something which I wanted to share, which I shared with the entire team. And I think that was really, really beneficial to me and hopefully to them also. Yeah.
No, absolutely. I think it would have been a big mistake on our part to not tap into the knowledge he has and the experience he has, not just as an actor, but somebody who he perceives things around and he knows so many things. So we would tap into regularly. In fact, right from who we were crewing up, once we decided on somebody, I would just talk to him, what does he feel about it? And I think his thing was simple. You need to get people who know what they're getting into.
Right.
It's a tough thing to make a show. It's hard. You are aspiring to make something beautifully cinematic, but you have 1/4 the money. You have half the time, right?
Half the time. Yeah.
And you need to pick your battles and see how do you go about it. So a lot of times, I think one of my battles with AK was to keep telling me, sir, let's just focus on the acting on today. I'll deal with the problems. He's like, Sandeep, remember these 5 golden rules so I can switch over to the acting mode. But he was beautiful. He's been my rock on this show. And right from the time we started to even now, I think I call him for his advice, and he's been very kind to allow me into his mind space and share how he feels we could do things.
I don't step in, I'm not a confrontationist as such. And, whatever I have to say, I say it before we really start shooting. Mm-hmm. On the set, I'm just an actor. It's very rare that, that I react and I said, whatever I have to say, I say it after it's done or after it's completed. On the set, I am purely an actor. जब मैं बोलूँगा जो आपको लेना मुझसे लो. Whatever you have to take, you take. You don't want to take, it's up to you all. But it's my, being a producer's son. I've been in this business in the last almost 60 years. So I have seen a lot of ups and downs of my father, my brother, and filmmakers and directors and actors. And I've seen them. So I said whatever I've seen, whatever I've experienced, I said I must share it. I'm one of those people. I want to share it. And not as an advice, but because people don't like advice, anybody advising anybody. You just say it, and then you just forget about it, and then move on. And so that's what was the advantage of doing 24. Matter of fact, 24 for me, and for a lot of people who were involved in 24 was really a very, very big learning curve. Sometimes you have to do 20 pages, sometimes you do 25 pages. You can't do much discussion on the set, and because time is money, and money is, and we have, because we inherently we want to raise the bar, whatever we do, because we want the best. and we're trying to make an international adaptation. At least with the 1/4 of the budget, we are at least trying to make it as good or better. That's the vision, that's the dream. So it's quite taxing, it's quite tough.
Yeah.
That we don't have those kind of luxuries, those kind of, so and still we fight and try to do it. And that's what both shows, I think Night Manager as well as 24, the original makers have categorically said that you're almost as good or better than the original, which is, I think, something which is very, very, it's something which I'm very proud of.
It's high praise indeed.
Just adding to it, this week, AK celebrates 40 years of being at the movies, and I'm 40. So AK, I better hear what you say.
You're not yet, no? Oh, 39.
37? Don't age me. 37.
And then I have a question for Aditya and Anil. In what ways are your characters like you?
What ways are they like me? It's a tricky one.
Is he like you at all?
He's more punctual than me. I like whenever I have to like put these things into perspective, I'm always a little bit like caught off guard. I don't really know. Maybe you can answer that for me, Sandeep. How is he
No,
like me?
this is actually for you, no?
I no perspective. Let Anil sir go first, yeah.
See, I feel, most important is he's a family man. Whatever drives him, where his power is concerned, money is concerned, whatever he wants to do, but his loyalty towards his friends and his, his family is something which I identified with.
Right.
And that really helped me to say yes to this role and to do it. And if you feel when you see the like people, you don't know to hate him or to like him. I think somewhere I think it is more because of these kind of layers which this character had, which I am a very loyal friend. I'm very loyal to my team. I'm a team man. I'm a very, very a team person. I believe in the whole. I don't think so. It's not an individual sport. It's not like boxing.
Right.
Filmmaking, films, shows is all about teamwork. No individual can make the film. Neither the actor, neither the director, neither the editor. So I feel even he also is very dependent on his friends. He trusts his friends, and he's got a gambler's instinct. When he sees something, when he sees talent, and he says, yes, come join me, and I'm sure you can take, with your younger perspective and your energy and the kind of instinct which you have, I think he'll take my company forward and take me forward.
Yeah.
So I also have that gambler instinct in me, where I've trusted people.
You basically are Shelley in many ways, except the arms dealer way.
And most important, the bank balance.
I feel like we all wish we could have Shelley's bank balance.
That's rubbish. I'd like to believe that I'm like my character, because he's a stand-up guy that's kind of chosen to do the right thing under extreme circumstances. So one can only hope to kind of react in the same way that he has. So yeah, sometimes you play characters that make you feel like being better, that make you feel like you've learned something from, and that you enjoy playing because they're maybe a better version of yourself in some ways, right? So you can aspire to kind of imbibe some of the good stuff.
When I saw this show, the only person which came to my mind was Aditya Roy Kapur. And asked Sandeep and asked the producers and asked the studios, how many times I must have called them up to tell them, I said, Adi hua ki nahi? Why is he, haggling and negotiating and all those kind of things and all? I don't know if he remembers it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I feel nobody could have done this role better than him,
Wow. I feel like we all need an Anil Kapoor in our court, just like going to bat for us and, putting themselves out there and putting us out
other
there.
names, I said, I hope that doesn't happen. They say, वो बहुत ज़्यादा पैसे वाला, मत लो उसको.
Thank you, sir. You batted for me.
Thank you so much, guys. That's all we have time for today. Thank you for joining us and chatting to us about the show. Really looking forward to checking out part 2. Congrats.
Thank you, Andrew.
Yes,
Thanks,
thank you guys.
Bye. See you.
Bye. The first time we're looking into that camera.